Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions.
Thanks for joining me on Fear No Art. My name is Elysabeth Alfano. Come with me as we go behind the scenes and get into the hearts and minds and souls of the creative genius. Today, I'll be speaking with Hollywood director Andy Davis at Chicago's Third Coast Cafe as we discuss the re-release of his music movie classic, Stony Island. Andy, thank you for talking with me today.
I got a wonderful scone out of this.
I'm glad. It's a pleasure to have you back in Chicago. Of course, you're a Chicagoan, but you live in LA and you're a director there. You've directed many movies, The Fugitive, which was nominated for several Academy Awards, Holes, Chain Reaction, The Package. But you're here back in Chicago promoting the re-release of your directorial debut in 1978, Stony Island. And I was amazed when I saw this movie. It really captures Chicago in a moment of time, the clothes and the music. It's such a Chicago music tribute. In addition to this, black and white flow together seamlessly in this movie in a way that they didn't really on the streets. And I wondered if that was something you considered.
The movie is about music being a common language, and the racial issues were the motivation because my brother was raised as a white kid in a black neighborhood. And I wanted to tell the story of a white kid making it in a black neighborhood as a musician and talk about how music breaks down these barriers.
There's so many now stars who were not stars then. It's an incredible cast and a large cast. So the legendary Jean Barge and Susanna Hoffs, who went on to be in The Bangles, and Dennis Franz got his acting debut in your film. Did you know you were working on something special then?
Well, I didn't know Susanna Hoffs was going to become a platinum-selling record star. We were just surrounded by a lot of young talent at the time. Dennis Franz was a young actor working at the Organic Theater in Chicago, and Gene plays the role of the mentor, and he was a legend in the music business. He was with Chess Records, produced Muddy Waters and all kinds of other great artists, Etta James. So the story's about an older man who's taking young kids under his wing and teaching them to be musicians.
It came together a really low budget. All the music you ended up getting live, nothing is dubbed. Could you talk to me about the making of this film?
Well, it was a long process to both write the script and to develop it into something that we could confidently go out and raise money for. And I'd seen American Graffiti and Mean Streets, and I said, you know, George Lucas and Marty Scorsese are making films about where they grew up. I'm going to make a film about where I grew up. And I knew that I could come to Chicago and get a lot of favors and hit on a lot of friends, because I'd started here as a young cameraman. So I developed this idea, and I started shooting my brother, who was in high school at the time. And he was a very interesting kid, because he was a kid who had grown up in a black neighborhood. The neighborhood changed. It went from 99% white to 99% black in 18 months. And my parents didn't move. They politically and morally felt it was wrong to flee just because black people were moving in the neighborhood. And so my brother was making it as a white kid in a black neighborhood. And I thought, this is interesting, because here's a kid who's got his own sense of soul and his own charisma and character, and he's a handsome young boy.
Yes, yes.
I said, I'm going to do a film about my brother. And it took us about 2 or 3 years to raise the money.
You got permits that you could never get today. You actually captured...
We didn't have permits.
Oh, you didn't even have permits?
We had no permits. We just got on the L and started shooting. The great alderman, Eddie Burke, he said, these are friends of mine, I don't want any problems, leave them alone. And we had one truck and one van, and that was it. Because of that freedom, we could do anything. You know, we just went around and shot what we wanted.
You're the only person I know that does a floor show for everyone on the L platform. The whole world is a stage. It's obvious.
Are you sentimental when you see this movie?
The movie is really, it's more of a character piece. It's about the character of a city, the character of young musicians, the character of mentors. And somebody pointed out recently that most of my films are plot-driven, you know, and story-driven. And the two films that are not are Steal Big, Steal Little, which is what I did after The Fugitive, and Stony Island, which are my more personal movies for me. And so in some ways it's wonderful to have the ability to do those kind of films, and they're hard to get made.
So you didn't have a big studio behind you, you didn't have a big soundtrack behind you at the time?
I get it. Not too talented, but I have a lot of persistence.
What is it that keeps you still inspired to make movies?
Not Hollywood.
Not Hollywood.
No. What inspires me to make movies is to tell stories that I care about and introduce characters that I like and try to have a story that was both entertaining and somehow inspiring to people.
This was your calling card, your directorial debut, and you went on to make bigger features. What did you learn on this movie that you carried with you to your other movies?
Well, for people who have seen The Fugitive and Above the Law and The Package and all those other movies that I made in Chicago, you'll see the basic palette of how I use the city. You know, for example, there's a tremendous amount of work done on the L tracks and the L in this movie. Well, the end of The Fugitive has got Harrison Ford, you know, on the L.
Yeah.
There's a sense of neighborhoods and ethnicity and a sense of the reality of the city.
It's coming out again, the re-release on April 24th, and I do hope that so many people see this. If you're from Chicago, you have to see it. It captures Chicago in a moment in time. But if you're a music lover, there's so much wonderful, great music in this. And then, of course, it's just a wonderful story in a way that stories don't get told anymore. So I hope that everyone gets it on April 24th.
I didn't pay for this breakfast. I didn't try to buy this review.
No, this is how I feel. So, as always, Andy, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
There's an artist and a creative spirit around every corner and in a few movie houses. Join me on the next Fear No Art as we get into the unique and fascinating world of the independent artist.